That was for pantry tomorrow.
I see.
We moved, yeah. What does it say? Apples, pineapple, oranges, and cabbages.
That's
Okay,
normally Norma's
that's me.
department.
That's my department.
Okay.
Is that your department? You're
do
the cabbages
produce.
and queens?
And I float
The
wherever,
queen of cabbages?
wherever Evelyn tells me to stand and hand stuff out, that's where I go.
Did you watch the coronation yesterday?
I
A
did.
little bit. I was at a graduation.
I got up early and had to take a nap later.
Right, I did too.
Hi, Sylvia.
Morning.
Hi, John.
Hello.
Morning, Megan.
Morning.
I'm trying to figure out how to do this in the car. I'm driving home from Maine and I'm trying to figure out how to put this in my car. So I'm like not holding it the whole time. Yeah, you get a face or a piece of a face anyway.
Well, yeah.
Mm.
Maybe that's all that's good anyway.
Yeah.
It was too long,
Oh, man.
but I kept waiting when they had the robe on him and they put the crown and they gave him the scepters and I'm
And
like,
the orb.
I thought, is he going to be able to stand up?
Well, yeah, the
That
crown is
somebody
heavy.
helped him.
Yeah, really.
Was it nice? Did all the family show up?
Harry was in the third row, wasn't seated with his brother because the explanation was since he's not a working royal, he wasn't seated with his brother. Neither was Prince Andrew.
Mhm.
You know, since they've been kind of
Excommunicated. sort of.
excommunicated. Yeah.
Well,
I just got a kick out of the orb and the scepter as they walked and stuff.
I did see this. I kept saying, we fought the Revolutionary War to get rid of the royals, the monarchy. So why am I so fascinated with this? But
Yeah.
it was still fun. Why not?
Well, the music was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, love that jazz one. I mean,
The gospel choir.
yes. Oh yeah, that was good. That was my favorite.
I missed
Oh, wasn't that good?
Oh yeah. Made me want to get up and dance.
I know.
somebody from I have season tickets or whatever, a subscription to the Handel and Haydn Society, which is early music stuff. And well, I don't know. They have original instruments is really, I guess, the upshot. They don't have like a real steel piano or steel strings on anything. And they're earnest, but fun. Our countertenor was sang in their in the choir, which I don't think was the jazz part of it all. I think it was the Monteverdi, but whatever. It's very excited, but I didn't actually watch it.
Interesting.
I watched the pictures later. I thought, I'm not going to get up that early. But didn't they have that jazz choir in Meghan and Harry's wedding? They had a gospel type.
I don't know if it was the same.
I
don't
did
know.
watch that.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the same group or not.
I don't know.
They were just so good.
Oh my goodness.
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Hi, Lori.
Morning, Lori.
Did you get my email to your Gmail?
No. I don't know why, but I didn't, but I went back to last week's link and found that the links are always the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried the email Gmail account you sent me. I don't know what happened.
When did you try it?
Huh?
This morning or yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah.
I'll go back and look again. Maybe I just missed it. I've got so many messes in my emails. And there's no date in sight for getting it fixed. My computer guy here in Stewart says it's not our fault, it's the email company's fault out in Berkeley, and the email company out in Berkeley says it's not their fault, it's our fault.
Of course.
Who's on first?
Like everything else. But neither of them provide services that the other ones require. So I don't know how to find a situation where that couldn't always happen. We'll get it figured out maybe next week.
When I worked in computers, that was always the thing. It's not my problem, it's their problem. No, it's not their problem, it's my problem. It was, yeah. Uh-huh.
And as
Yeah.
our IT guy used to say, it's user problems.
Yeah.
Well, more often than not, it probably is.
Yeah.
But in this case, they all admit that their server out in Berkeley is locking our IP address out of the server. And the only way to get through that server into my email is to call them up in Berkeley and say, hey, here's my IP address. Would you go unlock your server so I can get in? And that lasts for about an hour or two, and then it locks it again for whatever the reason.
Hmm.
That's
so
annoying.
odd.
Must be.
Yeah, whenever I have computer problems, Troy always goes, is it plugged in?
Yeah.
That's always a good thing to check first off,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what Aaron always used to say at work. Is it-
Mine was always unplug it, plug it back in.
Yeah,
It worked.
Yeah.
reboot.
Yeah.
Sometimes in some situations it does. This one doesn't help.
Just make sure the computer is off before you unplug it.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that.
Hmm.
Hi, Dale.
Long time no see.
You're talking, Dale, but we can't hear you.
You're muted, it says.
Not helping.
It says you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you.
Well, I don't know.
There
Yeah.
you
Oh.
go. We heard you then.
For just a moment.
He's speaking.
You gotta
that
lean
paper
in, as they say.
Yeah, I think I just don't know where the microphone is on this thing. I know
But you were saying something. What were you saying?
sometimes I don't know where the microphone is on this thing.
Yeah.
I know some computer guys out in Berkeley there that you could call.
That was good.
Do you mean Berkeley, California?
Yes. We were talking before you got on about the problems I have when getting my emails through their service.
And I don't know.
I'll tell you,
Computers and whatever communications, it probably isn't.
I went to seminary in Berkeley, California.
Have some gleaners and places like that, and every once in a while they'll have, well, I took home some chocolate the other day that was paleo vegan chocolate. It was actually good. Yeah, it's always interesting what stuff they get here. We're set up for a food pantry around here, so we're discussing some of the unusual
Yeah,
items
there was
that we see on
a
the
chicken
shelves.
and gnocchi soup there, you know, that's typical.
We called it Berkeley, California.
Yeah. Well, I
Chicken and
converted,
gnocchi sounds okay. It's chicken and dumplings by another name, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Italian chicken and dumplings.
Hi, Steve.
Morning, Sue.
Have a happy birthday, Steve.
I did.
Thought
I
about
did.
you. You didn't know that, but we did.
Had a good day and lots of calls and messages from family and friends. It was a good day.
Nice.
Did you send her
So
that?
Dave, you've got a birthday coming up pretty soon, don't you?
I didn't either.
I read that in the newsletter.
You weren't planning on celebrating until you saw the notice?
I wasn't planning on doing much of anything. You know, that's the highway speed limit in Montana. So I wasn't counting on anything special, but rumor has it that there's a party planned for me. And they won't tell me how many people have invited or how many people have said they're coming or not. So I have no idea.
Jody
Just
is doing that.
enjoy having another one.
You bet. The alternative's not so hot.
Well, it could be hot.
Going to my mechanic's 85th birthday today.
Oh,
According to Christian.
Yeah,
it could be a little warm.
I think I was his last client. Yeah, I was the last holdout of a customer, and he and when I got an electric car, it was a very gracious way to break up, I think.
my brother quit having birthdays. He celebrates like this year, the 4th Friday in April.
So he changes dates?
No, the date doesn't change, but the day does, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So last year it was, I think, the 4th Thursday in April.
A friend of
Yeah,
mine that
there's-
I used to golf with, named Phil Ball up in Muncie. He was a doctor there, and he had a big sign about when the office was closed, and it was closed, you know, of course, Christmas, New Year's, and then towards the summer it said Calvin Coolidge's birthday, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's July 4th." So, but he was a Calvin Coolidge fan. So
It must be lonely for him.
Morning,
been-
Jonathan.
I've been to Calvin Coolidge's birthplace, Vermont.
yeah, what is that? Plymouth Notch?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. It's right near a Quaker camp.
Yep. It's where he was sworn in as president by his dad.
Right.
In the house he was born in. Cool. Well, Phil always liked Calvin because he was of his phrase, you know, how he never talked much. But one day, we used to have a big rummage sale at the meeting house in Muncie, and people would bring stuff, including books, and somebody brought a whole set of John Calvin's Institutes, the big theological work, but it just said Calvin's Institutes on them, and so I took them and boxed them up and gave them to Phil. He said, "I thought you'd like these from your hero, Calvin." Wrong one.
Wrong Calvin, yeah.
Are you guys planning today, Dan?
No, we never plan on Sundays.
Okay.
Look like pretty good weather going on out there right now.
Yeah, we've only got a short day left and we'll be done.
Oh.
Had about a half inch of rain night before last. That was really wonderful.
I'm running across the road. You can roll the corn, so that's progress.
Looks like you might get some more rain this week as well.
That'd be all right.
Okay.
How about you guys, Steve? Are you guys done?
We're just getting started.
That's one.
We've had lots and lots of rain, including another inch last night. So just long ways to go.
That's too bad.
It's not Memorial Day yet.
You want to sit by the table to color?
Remember planting on Memorial Day.
See if there's some paper or something. if you
And
want.
afterwards sometimes too.
Hmm.
Especially beans.
Our planters weren't as large as they are now.
Oh, but our fields aren't either.
Long time no see.
Nice to see.
We must stop.
Let's see.
I guess right there, yeah, just knitting.
Gotta find something for you to write with.
I got 10. I don't have anything exciting.
Yeah, that's about as
You want
exciting
to come in?
as two, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh, I just love your ears.
Yes. Cute.
Let's read a book for you to write. It's easy to write.
Dan, what's the name of that guy on YouTube that you know out there?
The corn farmer?
Yes.
Um,
Well,
his name has slipped my mind.
probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I was watching him last night and for, I guess, a good hour or so. They were rebuilding a 24 and a 36 row planters, both of them concurrently to get ready to plant. What a mess. I could not imagine doing that.
Well, I think it's, we have some guests here today joining us, so we've just been getting settled. So Norma has a prelude for us, so we'll center in and then we'll do announcements and joys and concerns.
Your phone went off 2 times.
It's messages. Probably on. I love it.
Okay. I didn't know if someone was trying to tell you they weren't gonna be there day.
That's what I was looking.
Thanks, Norma. Well, for announcements, I can't think of too many. We will have Sunday school this morning at 10:35. We're going to take a look at Lot's wife.
Job.
Job's wife. We did Lot's wife, didn't we? The pillar in the community. So we're going to do Job's wife, the fountain of encouragement. So welcome to our friends. I know one, Lois, Kay.
Amber Alford.
Amber Alford? Yeah. Okay.
And Leela Ashford.
Hi, Leela. Like your headdress. That's very cool. So, I don't, anybody know of any other announcements? Joys and concerns to share.
Well, I have a joy. Grandson Ben graduated from Anderson University yesterday, so we were up there celebrating with him at his graduation, and then later, after I play at Valley Mills Church, our whole family will be going to Carrabba's to celebrate as a group again.
Well, our granddaughter Morgan graduated from Ball State last evening, had a program that started at 7:30 in Muncie. You know, so it was kind of late when we got home, but it was wonderful to see her graduate. She was really excited. She finished in 3 years and has done a really nice job. So it was fun to be a part of that experience for her.
Well, Nancy decided to stay home today. She's been having trouble walking again, so she didn't feel like getting out when it was raining so hard. She was. Her comment was, "I don't want you to have to worry about me in the rain." I said, "Well, I don't worry about you in the rain." Hold an umbrella, and she goes, "Well, okay, I worry because I think I'll fall." So she's sacked out. And a joy, for me, it's a joy to see Lois. I met Lois, gosh, a number of, I don't know how many years ago, but it's when, if you all remember, when we did Cajun and Quakers at Zydeco's a number of years back. Lois was one who attended that. So,
I would like to add, I was not a Quaker at the time, and that was my very first introduction to the whole concept of it. And I've been a Quaker all these years since because of that. I mean, because of a lot of things, but that was my first event.
That's great.
Well, we're delighted to have you here, all of you.
well, I am the worship leader this morning, so we'll enter into some silence, and then I'll speak out of the silence as led, and then we'll go into more silence after that. So if you can mute yourself if you're online, just for feedback. Well, from about Tuesday on, the weather's been pretty nice until today as far as calm, and I've been upstairs some, working in my office with the window open, and as I mentioned in the little announcement that I sent out, that I could hear the sounds of the people in the field all around, you know, not necessarily close, but off in the distance and getting closer. And then so I picked out as I was listening to that, I picked out one of my favorite books, a poem. It's called Farming, a Handbook by Wendell Berry. And I opened it, and the very first poem is The Man Born to Farming. And it says, the grower of trees, the gardener, the man born to farming, whose hands reach into the ground and sprout to him the soil, is a divine drug. He enters into death yearly and comes back rejoicing. He has seen the light lay down in the dung heap and rise again in the corn. His thought passes along the row ends like a mole. What miraculous seed has he swallowed, that the unending sentence of his love flows out of his mouth like a vine clinging in the sunlight and like water descending in the dark. Well, as most of you know, I am not a man born to farming, even though I live on our little Plowshares farm. I grew up a city boy. My grandfather was the only of his brothers who ever left the farm and moved to the city. And so every Sunday, it seemed like we were taking some trip to one of his brother's farms, just out there, which I always thought was kind of silly to drive that far just to go out and sit around and listen to the old guys talk. You know, it's like I wanted to do something. So my farmer cousins often tried to get me in trouble with doing different things. Oh, look at the mama pig, they said one time. Why don't you go in and pet them? Pet the little pigs. The mama will like that. Yeah, I found out that that wasn't exactly true. Another time we were swinging from one side of the haymow to the other on the big rope, and one of my cousins gave me another rope and said, well, try this one. It's really more fun. So as I swung off the haymow right over the middle, that rope broke, and I landed in the back of my uncle's pickup truck, which they all knew was probably going to happen. And so I often came home bruised and battered from that. But lately, my first experience of really living in the country was when I moved to Jericho Friends Meeting to be the pastor there. And they all had great delight in my ignorance of farming and my willingness to go out and try and help out and end up getting in over my head, especially during haying season. One of the fellows used to farm the field right next to the parsonage. That meeting had a little parsonage, and he would farm that field at night on purpose, and he would drive down with the lights getting bigger and bigger on his tractor into the bedroom window, blow the air horn, and turn around and go out to the other end and keep that up while he was planting or harvesting, either one. It was great fun to tease the city boy who was their pastor. But I always have loved tramping the fields and listening to the implements and going out and watching. And so I did this week too. Nancy asked a couple times, can we go for a ride? So I helped her out into the pickup truck, and off we went on the back roads, and she would have me pull over to watch. And then Friday, Doug Cook came, and he did a light disking of the field next to us, and we got in the golf cart then and went and picked up rocks, which is one of Nancy's favorite things. We had quite a haul. And then an hour later, after we got in, Doug came and seeded that field in about 2 hours. It was done. And she went out and she just stood there, propped up, looking at the rows and the beauty of the rows. She was just amazed at that. And I thought about that, the faith that it takes to farm at one level. I mean, talking about, I know last week Steve and I were talking about, when's it going to be dry enough? Don't want to put all that in and have it not be able to come up, and just the faith of that. Then I was also thinking about, because I am an inveterate person who goes to the Bible, reading about, the first story. What's God do? He creates a garden. So I guess maybe farming is an act of spiritual life. And then there's Jesus' parable in Matthew 13, and where he says, listen, a sower went out to sow. As he sowed, some seeds fell on the edge of the path, and the birds came and ate them up. The others fell on patches of rock where they found little soil and sprang up at once, because there was no depth of earth. But as soon as the sun came out, they were scorched, and not having any roots, they withered away. Others fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Others fell on rich soil and produced a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Anyone who has ears should listen. Well, as I watched Doug get ready to seed the field next to us, he wasn't out walking around throwing seed. He was measuring it very carefully, and he was letting his GPS help him get the most out of that field. And I thought, well, times have changed for sowers. But I kind of like the image of the sower just throwing seed. Nancy and I threw a bunch of seed when we planted the prairie back in the day. Butterfly habitat and all those little seeds. We sowed it on top of the snow, of all things. That's what they said to do. Put on your snow boots, go out by hand and just spread it on top of the seed. The snow will melt, take it into the ground. Next snow will come and freeze the ground and crack it open and put the seed at the right place. And I guess that's the image in some ways that I have of God, as a kind of promiscuous sower, not worrying about it, not measuring it out, not saying, well, I'm going to get the biggest yield if I put it all here or do this, but just throwing it willy-nilly to see where love may spring up. I mean, that's the man born to farming. That poem talks about love. That unending sentence of his love flows out of his mouth, like a vine clinging in the sunlight. I think in that sense, we're all spreading seeds, whether we know it or not. What kind of seeds are we spreading as we go through this life? Well, in some ways, when Jesus was talking to a few of the disciples, he said, I'll make you fishers of men. I wonder if we're not supposed to be just sowers of seed, too, in this poem, to walk lightly across it, across this world, as Fox said, answering that of God in every man. Berry has another poem called The Seeds. The seeds began abstract as their species, remote as the name on the sack they are carried home in. Fayette Seed Company, corner of Vine and Rose. But the sower going forth to sow sets foot into time to come. I love that. The sower sets foot into the time to come. And that's what we're invited to do, to plant for the time to come. The world not as it is necessarily, but the world as it could be, if we are faithful and live up to the light that we've been given and share that light, plant that seed as we are called.
About 2 weeks ago, I walked, we were in the truck and we went out to see a place where they were laying some tile, and this farmer next to me got out of the truck and took his little pocket knife and he began to dig in the ground a little bit, and he was checking to see how the seeds that had been planted a week before were progressing. It had been very dry and we're just not sure that they were sprouting, but he carefully took his knife and dug around where he thought the seed might be, and without trying to harm it or to destroy it or dig it up, he just was checking to see if there was progress there. And he found that they were going to be okay, that it was swollen and ready to sprout. And then the next few nights it froze, and we said, well, that seed is still in the ground, it's fine. It's been almost, let's see, it's been 18 years since I've retired from my position as school principal, and the last day of school, as the students surprised me by lining up, all 700 students lined up on the sidewalk, the front entrance of the school, while the secretary had me otherwise occupied and I didn't know what was going on, but she said, I think somebody's need you outside. So I walked out the door and I was surprised to see all those people lined up out there, and they sang to me a lovely song, and then they planted a tree to honor me, and then they handed me the microphone as if I had something to say. I was so choked up already. But for some reason, something came out of me like, you couldn't have honored me more than planting a tree, because I really like to watch things grow. And especially I like to watch children grow. And then time went on and on about the pleasures and the pride that I had in seeing those students become special people and somebody who's going to help the world. And I don't know what all I said, but it was just, it didn't come from me. It came from some spirit within me. And I just said, I just want you to know, I really like to watch things grow, and especially children and trees. And so the buses were arriving, and then we put the kids on the bus, and one little girl, first grader, walked up and put her hand in mine and said, Mrs. Graves, we like to watch you grow too. And it was so sweet. I didn't know exactly what she meant by that, but because I know I'd gained several pounds about that time in my life, but it just made me think how our pleasure in life comes from watching things grow. Why do we plant the gardens? Why do we plant the flowers? Why do we plant the trees? Why do we do what we do for other people? And the pleasure and the blessing to us that it comes when we see the growth. And here we are watching our children, our grandchildren graduate from school, and we just find so much pride and joy in watching that growth in them, even though it happens too fast. I just thank God for that joy we have and feel so strongly when we watch good things grow.
Well, we'll end the semi-program part of worship and go into more unprogrammed worship for a little while. We know some folks have to leave, so blessings on you. Hope to see you next week. And of course, all are invited to stay for the rest of worship. Well, if all hearts are clear, we'll close meeting for worship.
Thanks for your words, Brent.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Good to see everybody today.
Good to see you, Sue. You too, Jonathan. Well,
Good to see you all.
Which kitty did you have today?
It's always Jet on the back of the chair. Sable doesn't make the attempt, but Jet seems to pretty much be there every week now.
The Quaker cats of the Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll hope to see you all next week or at Sunday school in a little while. Talk about that fountain of encouragement, Job's wife. Okie dokie. Bye-bye.